early morning, and that's when it starts to get really cold.
Mm-hmm.
And one, kept my bum dry.
Yep.
But you've got the foil on the bottom.
Yep.
It actually keeps your bum warm.
Yeah, that's right. Gordon Dedman from Bushcraft Survival Australia. So I had bushcrafters buying our gear, so I wanted to learn everything about bushcraft. So I went and did 3 of his courses. Yeah.
Did you know that was?
No. Some smart ass put a comment on there saying, oh, it's a marketing company or something or other. But I only knew about that when I saw it get uploaded. I had no idea. Yeah, it's awesome. It's fantastic. Like, yeah, it's one of those moments where you're like, oh, wow, like people really believe in us. Like, that's so good. Like, we've been working hard to make these good products, and
welcome back to another episode of Accurate Hunts, Life Outdoors, but today we're actually indoors with the Outdoors Company. Welcome to the show, Sam.
Thanks, Dodge. Thanks for having me.
This is Sam from Alton Goods, and a bit of a journey on this one. Reached out to Sam and he said, oh, we're in Brisbane. I said, oh, okay, I'll be there in a few days. So we're flying up to spend the day here and see what's going on in the factory, check out the products and have a bit of chat and see if we can swindle him into getting some hunting-related content happening on the socials.
Always open.
Thanks for having us.
No, thank you. Thanks for coming up to this little bush hut we've got out in the sticks.
Yes,
in the couple of hours west of Brisbane.
The sticks meaning pine pallets surrounding us. But what does Alton mean? Where does the word come from?
So it's actually the name of a national park in Western Queensland. So Alton National Park.
Mm-hmm. You have some affinity with it? Or?
I really like Western Queensland. My old man's from Charleville. Mm-hmm. So done a few trips out there and was inspired by like the ruggedness of the place, and it's just sort of like impossible to survive out there almost. So that sort of inspired me to sort of, like with the gear that we create, we want it to be really hardy, really tough, and for those like really tough parts of Australia.
So now you think you can survive out there?
No, it's no way. But it was that, but the name also looked really cool. Yep. So there's no denying that. I saw the name and I was like, oh, that looks pretty cool as well. Yep. It's got like a good, nice and short, good structure to it.
It's also A, so it's at the start of it.
Yeah, that's something I never thought about. But I remember doing a trade show down in Melbourne and like we were top of the list and I was like, oh, we're nobodies.
Accurate Hunts, AC.
Yeah, there you go.
It's pretty top.
There you go. So you've done the same.
Yeah, not on purpose. But how did it start? Like, is this from a personal venture of you're into backpack and hiking? And
yeah, so...
Sick of other gear? Or?
So through school, as a kid, my parents always took us camping. Probably because we couldn't afford to do any other holidays. But it was, looking back, it was like it's just really fond memories as a kid going camping with mum and dad and my siblings. And then in high school, I got into Duke of Edinburgh, which is like, for those of you that don't know, it's like a outdoor program, among other things. You do some community service and whatnot, but a big part of it is the expeditions. Mm-hmm. So myself and my close mates at high school did a lot of stuff with Duke of Ed, and that really as teenagers got us into this sort of thing that we really loved doing. We love getting nice gear and going out and doing cool trips. And then into uni, I continued that on with my mates. We'd go hiking, camping, all sorts of stuff, bit of hunting, and I became an accountant out of university and I hated it. So I did that for 5 years, got my CA, just couldn't stand one more day in that office. It just was not for me. So I guess I had a bit of a mid-20s crisis and I resigned and I looked within and was like, what am I actually passionate about? Like, what do I want to do as a job? Because this isn't working for me. I'm not happy, I'm not enjoying it. It's making me a grumpy person. So I pretty much just set out and said, I'm going to start a business doing camping gear. And that's sort of how the story started.
What was your first product?
First product was a ultralight hammock.
How do you even start that process though?
So
not many people in Australia making those things.
No. So, about a year before I resigned from my full-time job, maybe a couple of years before, I actually had started Alton on the side with a mate. And we were both working in retail. He worked at Country Road, I worked at Myer. We liked selling, we liked camping, that whole passion thing. Yeah, we're like, let's start a little business on the side and see what happens. And I think at the time we were kind of looking at like overseas, what's like big, and we saw these ultralight hammocks in America were popular. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we just jumped on Alibaba and we started looking. We're like, all right, we'll start with a hammock. And we got a batch, put in a couple of grand each, and sold them to mates mainly. But a couple of years later, we started to see, like, we'd get an order and be like, oh, is this one of your mates? Like, no, that's not one of my mates. Oh, this must be like a real customer. And then, when I quit my job, I bought him out and I went on my own. Yeah.
Started with the hammock.
Yeah, yep.
So if anyone's looking for any products, it's alibaba.com. It's got to start somewhere.
That's it. And
obviously developed some big relationships since then.
Yeah, and like you look at our hammock today.
Nothing like that.
Oh, no, it's like the 9th iteration. So, there's plenty of Alibaba hammocks out there. And there's brands that sell off-the-shelf hammocks. But, ours is it's one of our most thought-through products because it's the oldest.
Sure.
There's like...
the most variations over time.
Yeah, we use like a 6-way ripstop nylon, which I don't think there's any other brand on the market that uses that. It means we can use a really lightweight fabric. It's super strong. We use the tie-out loops and the straps on the trees are made of UHMWPE, which is essentially unbranded Dyneema. Mm-hmm. Strongest like fabric material in the world. I think it's stronger than steel, they say. Got the double-ended storage bag, which means you can like deploy it really quickly. Anyway, it's a nice bit of kit.
Yeah, we'll go through it. I'll take a video of us using it at some point. What's its weight limit? Because I'm not a tiny guy.
Yeah, it can hold 300 kilograms. So I've not met anyone that goes over 300 kilos.
Bo, you asked me to ask that question.
You could fit 2 people in there if you need it.
There's your answer. 2 skinny people. And I'll stick on the hammock for a second. Mm-hmm. I actually haven't hopped in it, and I will when we're finished. Mm-hmm. But the general, in my mind, and question from other people when I see them using it is, do you just end up in a bunch? Because our centre of gravity is our top torso section, or it's not the middle of our body.
Yeah.
Do you think you find yourself, slouching down to the bottom of it?
Yeah. So look, hammocks are different for everyone, right? But if you go down the real nerdy kind of hammock camper route, you do what's called like a diagonal lay. Mm-hmm. So if you turn your body on a diagonal, you can get completely flat. But personally, like, it doesn't worry me. I sit in there as a banana and I'm comfortable. So it just comes down to personal preference, but you can get that flat lay if you do the diagonal.
But you're also not, traveling with a full Hilton hotel. The idea is you're lightweight.
Exactly.
Trying to be as comfortable as you can without carrying as much.
Yeah. It eliminates the need for like a sleeping mat and that sort of thing. So you can, like you said, your whole sleeping system right down to a super compact little bundle.
How wide has the sleeping system gone? So you started with the hammock, but then you're into bags.
Yeah, so I think the tarp was one of our early like successful, products that got a lot of sort of people interested in the brand. And then from that, we marketed that tarp as something that could be used over a hammock system or a ground system. So we sort of use that as like our sort of capstone. Mm-hmm. And then under that, the hammock sleeping system, and then we developed a ground sleeping system. So we did the whole range of sleeping mats. Started out with one mat, and now we've got probably 7 or 8 different varieties of sleeping mat. So you got the ground system and the hammock system, and then we'll probably eventually do a tent as well. But yeah, I guess we sort of just follow where our customers kind of want us to go, and there's input from internally. But yeah, we're not married to any idea or anything like that. We're open-minded and keen to try different things.
And you mentioned your customers. Traditionally, where have they come from, and sort of what are they using your products for?
So it's funny, like the brand has kind of gone in a direction based on where our customers were coming from early on. And then personally, I got interested in those spaces, and it's interesting how the journey goes. But early on, we had an olive-coloured hammock, mm-hmm. and we started getting bushcrafters buying this hammock because bushcrafters were interested in ways that they could have a compact sleep system, that they could bring minimal equipment and have a place to sleep. So I started getting into bushcraft and looking into bushcraft, and this was 6-7 years ago. And we sort of took quite a bushcrafty direction in the brand, and now we're broadening out to other sort of outdoor spaces. But bushcraft was definitely like a big influence in where the brand started.
And I know we spoke about it off air, but the impact of COVID and like the timing of your business.
Yeah.
And then that causing.
Yeah. So, I mean, there were obviously a lot of unfortunate things that happened during COVID, but for us, it was actually like a really good boost for the business. You had a lot of people that couldn't go overseas and, started holidaying in their backyard, which was great. There were big brands that ran out of stock, so people came to us. And during that kind of whole scaremongering phase of COVID, bushcraft became really big because it was all about how can I survive in the bush and, survive.
Coles run out of food.
Yeah, if Coles runs out of food or the electricity grid breaks down, how can I survive? So, it was really fortunate for us. It really helped boost the business and brought a whole lot of new eyeballs to the brand.
Yeah. Well, I'm full disclosure. I haven't known about Alton that long, to be honest. But I had 2 clients recently. Jack's one of them sitting over there, and I had a friend of mine, Dr. Yannick, come on a hunt, and they both had a fair amount of your stuff. And Yannick's got the full sleeping system, hammock, ground set up as well, and tarp. I've got sleeping quarters set up at my block where we hunt. And he's like, nah, it's all good. I got my own. I was like, you're an idiot. What? Anyway, he set it up, and we had rain and hail and all sorts of things, and he was substantially dry and quite happy about that. I was like, what is that stuff? And, he said Alton. He said it 3 times, which means my Facebook algorithm jumped on it.
Yeah, it's good.
And now that's all I've been seeing in the ads.
Has he had our gear for a long time, Yannick?
I feel like, yeah.
Because that name rings a bell.
Yannick Cooker, C-U-C-C.
Yeah, I reckon it rings a bell.
He's in WA, so
yeah.
a fair bit to post to him.
Yeah, because back in the day, like early on, we were writing handwritten notes to every customer.
Right.
And that name rings a bell.
So it's a terrible one to spell.
Oh, that's probably why it stands out as well.
Dr. Yannick. But no, so they introduced me to the products, and then I did some research, and I could see it online, and obviously it was getting pushed to me through the sponsored ads and things. But looking through the products, I'm like, man, there's a whole lot of crossover into what my interests are in the hunting, which is outside of the guiding, is the backpacking and the backcountry stuff.
Yep.
And I know we spoke this morning about the sizes of things and how small you've been able to get it. And one of the things you've put up is a photo of sort of where you started with something, and then every couple of years the product's getting smaller.
Yeah, that's our hammock. The one was, yeah.
So, like, how far can you push it? Like, where does it just end up as a little...
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, we focus on ultralight, but to be honest, it's not like the one thing. Mm-hmm. So when it starts to degrade like the durability of the product, we stop. Yeah. So you'll find like our products aren't the lightest. They're a lighter. The lighter ones are more expensive and in some cases less durable. So
trade-off.
We just try and find that middle ground. We try and have the best of both worlds of ultralight but ultra durable. So yeah, we like the approach I've had with this brand from the beginning is like bang for buck. Yeah. That's money and that's also like carrying weight. So you don't want to carry something that's just going to blow over in the next gust of wind. You want something that's going to last and be tough, but you don't want something that's super heavy either.
I mentioned to a few people that I was coming up here to have the chat, and they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like their stuff seems to be like on par, if not better than the big names, but at a not entry level, but at a better price.
Yeah.
Point. So that's definitely working and being noticed.
Yeah, and that comes with being a direct to consumer brand. So right. It's
try and stay that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So like we aim to have our products spec'd as the same as the really high end brands, but we have the benefit that we're selling online direct to the customer. So we don't have to, the store doesn't need to make a profit. We make the profit, which means we don't need to sell it as high a price.
You can make 30% selling to the public, or you can make 30% selling wholesale.
Exactly, that's right. And then the wholesaler will
jack it up,
add up their 50, 100% on top of that. So,
and that makes it tricky. And obviously during the development process, you've had some fails along the way and things that just didn't work for you.
Yeah.
Got any stories of getting massively wet or just things that didn't work?
Oh, honestly, I try and bury those. Like, there's been so many sleepless nights. I was telling Jack off air about. He said to me, the comment he made was, "Oh, color seems to be a really important thing," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's it's very important that everything looks the same and everything's the same color. It's part of our brand now. And we did have a
Which is not why we're color coded.
yeah, we should have been wearing olive. We did have a batch of products which is sold through now, and I won't mention, but the color was off by like a fraction. And I'm a pretty big perfectionist, and like my staff will tell you, they were a bad couple of days after that came through. I was just depressed. Like I was like, I can't. We're gonna figure out a way to we're gonna have to get rid of all this product. Like we're gonna have to bin it. We can't sell this.
Did customers notice?
No one's noticed ever. Yep, literally no one.
Free returns on those products.
No, there's nothing wrong with the product. And to be honest, it was.
That just shows the attention to detail.
Yeah,
overall brand.
it was internal. Like I had good people around me saying, mate.
Yeah,
like you're overthinking this one.
I get that as a business owner. It's important to have that consistency and continuity. I mean, we try to do it with what we do, and yeah, I notice it here. I mean, everything is consistently green.
Yep.
Except there's some shirts over there.
Yeah, so with the
breaking colour.
Yeah, with apparel, it's obviously a little bit different. People want to, not wear the same colour every day, and we're not, like I said, we're not married to anything. We're open to the next thing, and we'll eventually do different colours. Yeah. It's been a financial thing, the colour idea. So it's instead of having having to buy 3,000 of something because it's 3 different colours, we can buy 1,000, which means we can bring out 2 other new products. That's the reason we've done the whole olive colour, and to be honest, I love it, and a lot of customers love it too. So
you're married to it now. Yeah. On the crossover conversation, I purchased a couple of weeks ago was your fold-out.
The closed cell mat. Yep.
Closed cell mat, and the same version, but in the sitting pad. Mm-hmm. And I've laid on the mat inside. I haven't taken it hunting yet, but I've been out and used the sitting pad.
Yep.
And Jack said something this morning, and I hadn't considered it, but that time when you're doing that glassing is late afternoon and early morning, and that's when it starts to get really cold. Mm-hmm. And one, kept my bum dry.
Yep.
But you've got the foil on the bottom.
Yep.
It actually keeps your bum warm.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's a stronger pattern, you're saying, than the lay down one, because you've got a lot more weight on a smaller area.
Yeah, the pointy sort of bum bones that go into it. It's just that little bit thicker.
And what's it weigh overall?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot here. I reckon it's 200 and something grams.
Even less than that.
Is it?
Anyway, we'll check that out and I'll correct that.
It's not much anyway.
Super light.
Yeah.
And tiny, but it's not something I ever carried. You just dealt with it.
Yeah, yeah. It's
But to add that to the pack, because it's not something I would carry on every hunt, but if I know there's an opportunity to sit and wait, it just goes in there now.
Yeah, and it takes up no space as well. It folds down inside itself.
I actually used it as we had a little fire going and actually put it up around it as well.
Yeah, right.
You can turn it the other way and it pushes the heat back to it. You got it far enough away, it doesn't catch a light.
Could you sit in your rifle as well?
I don't think it's strong enough for that. We'll work on that. But so if we get away from the sleeping systems, you've also gone into, we're titanium and things. And they're on the light when you nearly burnt your finger when you dipped your finger in, because titanium's not doing your heat things. But you've got cook sets as well and stoves. Mm-hmm. What else have we got in the cookware?
We've got essentially your whole kitchen. So you've got cutlery, cups, bowls, plates.
What about your little
cookware?
Yeah, your little stove.
The twig stove?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can see that just out over there.
Does it take long to boil?
Nah, it's really quick. It gets super hot, compared to a jet boil. When you look at a jet boil, it's got quite a narrow stream of gas. But yeah, you can put as much twigs in there as you want to and really get it firing.
One benefit of the jet boil is you can't fly with gas.
Yeah.
But you can always
We've all been there.
You can always get twigs.
Yeah.
I've been pulled up in the airport with that too.
Yeah, and the benefit too is it packs flat. So it just packs into...
I saw that. It's it's less than 10 mil thick.
Yeah, it's been such a successful product.
It's so hard to find twigs unless you're above the snow line somewhere in New Zealand.
Exactly, yeah.
But the one thing I was really excited about seeing in here was your new waterproof material.
Yeah, yep. So the Nanopore.
I want to get into the nitty gritty in that, because it's something that's really important in my pack, even if it's 38 degrees and sunny, my rain gear.
Yep.
People don't pack it. But I always pack it, because even a summer storm at the wrong time of day,
ruin your trip.
Yep. So how did you end up, it's a new product into Australia, and I haven't worn the clothing, but I've seen the way the fabric works.
Yeah, there's one behind you, actually. That's an early sample.
Right. Green, of course.
Yeah, this one's actually got green zips on it, but we went with the black for a bit of contrast in the bulk order.
Mix it up a bit.
Yeah.
But what's the design of the fabric and why is it?
Yeah, so it's a 3-layer fabric. So listeners will be familiar with some of the big brands out there like Gore-Tex, Pertex. They're 3-layer breathable fabrics. So the benefit of them is waterproof, but let air through. So breathable, essentially like a breathable rain jacket. Because if you want to keep rain off yourself, you can wrap a garbage bag around you and keep water off, but you'll sweat inside it. So it was pretty fortuitous, like right place, right time. Met a fabric scientist who worked at a big fabric company in the US and went out on his own. Wanted to work with someone to develop a 3-layer breathable fabric, but one that was made in a more sustainable manner to some of the other big brands. There's some pretty nasty chemicals and whatnot in those other fabrics, and also once you're done with them, they don't biodegrade very well. So we worked with this guy and we developed Nanopore over about a year and a half, and it performs at that high level, like super breathable, super waterproof, over 20,000 breathability and waterproof. But it's that more sustainable approach. It doesn't have the carcinogens in it that some of these other fabrics do. But yeah, it's been awesome. Like, it's so cool to have we're not the biggest brand in the world, but to have this market leading fabric is pretty awesome. It's been super exciting, and it's really helped us sort of get the brand out there and get people interested. So it's been perfect for the jacket and the swag, having that breathability and waterproofness. We're keen to bring out future products using this fabric.
How do you treat it long term? One issue I have with my rain gear is it's waterproof.
Yep.
Initially, but then one thing, I did a lot of horse riding in Canada, and you'd wear your waterproof stuff, but just the branches you were pushing through was actually pushing the water in.
Yeah,
it wasn't drip. It was drip proof, but not from this constant. And the snow would fall on your lap while you're riding, and would just work its way into the fabric. And I hadn't treated it very well.
Yeah.
So there's some important care.
Yeah. So the beauty of this fabric is that it doesn't need to be treated. So Ever, yeah. So the way that a lot of these other fabrics work is they've got waterproof coatings on them, right? And then after a year or two, you're told to respray it with the water repellent sort of chemical, essentially. Ours has a membrane. So the middle layer of the 3 layers is a membrane. It's essentially got nanoscopic holes in it that allow air to go through, but won't let the water-sized molecules back through. So it's hardware. There's nothing, it doesn't wear away or anything like that, like a chemical on the outside does a coating.
It's not a treatment.
Exactly. So it's it doesn't need to be treated, is the short answer to your question.
Yeah.
That's
exciting.
Yeah. It's pricey though. Yeah. If you get a jacket that's just a single layer waterproof coating on it, it's going to cost less. Yeah. But this bit of gear will last you for many years.
What sort of price?
So the jackets are $479 at time of recording, and the swag is $699.
I've paid $700 for a waterproof jacket.
Yeah, look, it's a lot of money, but it's not at the top, right?
It's still not at the top.
Yeah, the competitor.
Like I said, it's for serious expedition.
Yeah, $479 for a 3-layer jacket is great value. But it's a lot of money for the average punter. Yeah,
I get that. But if you're getting the longevity of it,
that's right.
If it's something you're going to use all the time,
exactly.
What I've seen you, couple up with a couple of people, and you got the Alton edit that sits in here.
Yep.
And you do some things. How did those sort of relationships come about, and how have you seen that grow the business?
Yeah, so we often get asked this question. A majority of our relationships have been really organic.
Customers.
Yeah, so Scotty's probably one of the biggest people we work with, and he just bought one of our products as a customer back in 2000 and 16 probably. I was working out of my garage at home, and I'd just gone off out by myself, away from my business partner. And yeah, like I look back and I'm like embarrassed the product we sold, Scotty, right? Because it was just we were early on, like we didn't know anything back then. But yeah, we just sort of grew together. You know, Scotty's become massive, and you know, we've grown as well, and it's just been a symbiotic kind of like organic friendship, I suppose. And then in recent years, we've brought out like a product together, and it's become a little bit more formal and that sort of thing. But yeah, that was really organic. And then, you know, through Scotty, meet people like Silly, and yeah, it's the outdoor community. I feel it's not that big in Australia. You sort of get to know people and become friends, and then yeah, you work together on things. So we might work together on something. Who knows?
Stay tuned. We'll work on that after.
Oh, what's it like for you? Like, how do you meet people?
I talk to a lot of people.
Yeah,
a lot of people, and I'm always on the phone. My wife says to me, "Why are you always on the phone?" And then she'll say, "I use this example. I gave this the other day, and it hasn't happened, but it's an example. I've got this antique piece of china. Do you know anyone that can help me appraise that?" I'm like, "Yes, I do. That's such and such and such and such, because I speak to such."
That's niche.
You know, so yeah, that's the problem. I talk to people, and then I find out their niche strengths.
Yeah.
And then I just bank that in my terrible memory. And, you know, and then at some point, I thrive on connecting people with other people.
Yeah.
And that's the guiding. I take people hunting. I watch them enjoy something, and then I get my enjoyment out of it. I can connect them with a memory or an experience.
Yeah. Another good example is Gordon Dedman from Bushcraft Survival Australia. So I had bushcrafters buying our gear, so I wanted to learn everything about bushcraft. So I went and did 3 of his courses.
Yeah, which ones did you do?
1,
2, 3.
Yeah, up to to be honest, in the earliest one I did, the structure's changed since then.
Yeah.
But I did like a intermediate. All of them were up in Darwin. And, you know, like I could turn up on day 1 not knowing a thing. And now, like, I talk with Gordon on the phone and we discuss product ideas and I get his feedback.
It's never a short conversation with Gordon either. I spent a couple of days on 2 different courses.
I spent a couple of days on the phone with him.
Yeah. That's before he gets talking about products. And I supplied him with a heap of skins. He had a Teresa lady come over from the States.
Yep.
And do the skin tanning course, and I supplied the skins for those courses. And she's coming back again, but he's a great conversation.
Yeah, a lot of knowledge.
Definitely in that area.
Yeah.
And but that's a very connection from your business point of view.
Yeah, and again, it was all
his clients.
Yeah, organic. Like I did a course with him, had a beer with him after the course, started chatting on the phone. You know, just friendships.
That sounds like Gordon. Where's it going? Like, where you are now is not where you imagined you'd be.
No,
I would assume.
No, not at all. It's.
Did you have imaginary goals and you've smashed them, or are they just different directions? Or like, what's the nice to have in 5 years' time? Obviously, you got this beautiful warehouse and space.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think it constantly evolves. Like when I was working as an accountant in an office, I hoped to have something in my garage at home, and when I was doing that, I hoped to have a small warehouse. Which then when I had the small warehouse, I want to have a bigger warehouse. So it's I think it just evolves. Don't try and think too far ahead. And as to where it goes, that changes. Like it goes where our customers sort of want it to go, and the team. Like now, I've got a few staff around me, so where we talk internally, and we've seen in the last 5 or 6 years things change. Like things change quickly. So it's we just try and not think too far ahead. We just try and make sure that what we're doing is the best we can do for ourselves, for the customers, for everyone involved. Try and just keep high quality, high attention to detail, and just make sure we're enjoying ourselves.
I want to circle back to your swag build that you did with Scotty. One thing I've been dealing with lately is the last 18 months is an incredible amount of leeches down in our area.
Okay.
And we just had our local hunting club had a trip up to Nundle State Forest, and I couldn't make it, but the leeches up there have been really bad. And there's a story about one guy doing the circle of salt around his swag.
Yeah,
on the
right.
ground.
Okay.
And I'm interested. I can see that they can't get in, but what went into the design of a swag?
So that's actually the bug net tent.
Right.
Our swag's a different product, which is not on display because we're sold out.
Yeah, sold a display model.
We just don't put it here because then people come in and go, I want that one. And we need to keep a couple, you know. So this product here, that was, and this is the bug net tent for people that obviously can't see it. That was really designed around the Northern Territory dry season. That's really what it was aimed towards. There was, and this is myself and Gordon chatting this product. Yeah. So for those of you that are familiar, like the military in Australia uses like a box bug net. We actually ended up making a box bug net with like a built-in floor, which, you know, was something that we heard it was missing, and like keep going down that road. And we ended up with this product, which there were issues with the box bug net that the military uses. It's like a bit of a nightmare to set up. You got 4 corners that need to tie out. You can't like put it up standalone, so that, you know, there were just little bits and pieces with that we wanted to improve. And yeah, we landed on this. And, you know, people often ask, oh, it's not waterproof. Like, what do you do if it rains? The idea of this product is it's modular. Like, it's designed really for a dry season sort of climate, going out when you know there's not going to be rain.
Sure.
And if there is rain,
out under the stars.
Exactly. If there is rain, you can bring a light shelter. Yep. And then those two.
Tarp over it.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's all modular. It's like you only take what you need.
Yeah. And it packs down pretty small too.
Oh, nothing. Yeah. Size of a water bottle.
But and what about the swag? I mean, so I have a swag.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, like every other one has a swag, the big canvas.
Yep.
Thing that's this high, this round. And
yep. Yeah. So that was like
is the swag a backpack item?
Or yeah, it is. Yeah. So Scotty actually came to me and was like, you know, there's room for a swag that's not massive. Like, we all know now, you drive down the highway and people have got the swags on their roof because they don't fit in the car. Like, that's how big they are.
The big King's doubles.
Yeah. They need a trailer for the swag.
Yeah. I've got one.
Bigger than a tent when they're meant to be smaller. So, and it was funny because he came to me with that and I was like, oh, I've actually been thinking about the same thing for a couple of years. And then from there, we sort of, got to work on designing it. And it's simple. It's a swag that packs down small. You don't have to, you know, have a trailer to carry it. So it's probably like a little bit heavier than like taking a tent, but it's a different thing. It's a different experience. As we all know, like the joy of sleeping in a swag, right? It's nicer than sleeping in a tent. You're a little bit more exposed to the environment. For hunting, it's probably better because you've got more visibility. Yeah, that's how it came about.
Yeah, well, have you got one left in the... We've got to set one up.
Yeah, we've got a safe out the back.
I was going through the products with the wife, and she's like, "Oh, I want the double sleeping mat." I was like, "Yeah, but we don't need it. We've got the big double king swag." Now it feels like we're going to end up with another swag.
Yeah, there's all of our stuff's really been quite individual, and I think it probably lends itself to our customer. Like, it's mainly, as we speak, like we're mainly like a male consumers, probably 75, 80%, guys that are doing hardcore activities like, you know, hunting, bushcraft, etc. So that generally lends itself to an individual style sleep setup. Yep. But recently, you know, there's been a lot more couples shopping from us. So we moved into that double sleeping mat, and we've got other double sleep setups in the works. Yep. Most likely one of these bug net tents in a double size. But yeah, all that stuff's happening in the background.
That's a double size. You just need to spoon each other.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be a comfortable night.
That'd be very close.
Yeah.
I want to have see if there's any stories in your back catalogue of your own personal camping trips.
Yeah.
And you're like, how have you incorporated your products into your own trips? And I think about the swag versus the hammock setup, and a lot of the places I hunt doesn't have a flat spot.
Yeah.
But it's got trees.
Yeah. I mean, look, to be honest with you, I'm probably more of a ground sleeper. Right. I've used the hammock system. There are so many benefits with hammock camping, right? Because you're not on the ground, you're up off the wet, it packs down small, etc.
What about temperature? That's the other question.
Yeah, so with this, the hammock, there's 2 solutions to temperature. You can put a sleeping mat inside it, which will block the wind flow under your back, because they're quite breathable, which is great for summer. But there's also an underquilt, which I don't know if you can see that over there. That's an underquilt. Essentially, it's a sleeping bag that wraps around the bottom of your body. It's a big investment. You want to be a pretty keen hammock camper, but it's honestly, if I was going to the snow, like I think that would be the most comfortable, most warm, out of the weather setup you could have is underquilt, top quilt, hammock. No matter like what sleeping mat you're using, if it's got a huge R value, you're down in the snow, like it's going to be cold. It's going to be a bit uncomfortable. But to answer your question about personal experience, I actually had back in the day a fully nylon bivvy, right? So a bivvy is essentially a lightweight swag, similar to our product could be called a bivvy. And yeah, I was like, this is fantastic. It packs down so small. It was like $150 because it was nylon. And yeah, I slept out in it a bunch of times. Then one night the rain came through and it was all sealed up and just the condensation. Like it was just, I woke up. I mean, I didn't even fall asleep. I was covered in water. And that's the reason that we went for this breathable material, right? Is if it gets humid in there, which when you're breathing all night, if you're all shut up, it gets humid. So exactly, it has a way to escape. And yeah, I mean, this was just I've never used it again. It was a piece of junk. Like it's just a capsule of water, really.
Back to the hammocks, you spoke about a sleeping, what do you call it, the top piece?
Top quilt?
Top quilt?
Yeah.
And I don't know who it was recently. Actually, it might have been Jack, but talking about sleeping bags, when you lay on them, there's no benefit to the underpiece because it's all compressed.
That's right, yeah.
So the warmth in a bag comes from the loftiness of the material trapping your body heat.
Yeah, so...
It doesn't work when you lay on it.
That's right. The way that down works is the air gets trapped in the feathers and warmed up by your body. So if the feathers are flat, the air can't get trapped in anything. So yeah, technically with a sleeping bag, the bit that your body's weight is on is flattened and it's got no use. So that was the reason behind bringing out quilts. A quilt is essentially a sleeping bag. It's got the back cut out of it.
Still a tubular over your feet?
Yep, still tubular. Oh, there's different varieties. Ours closes in fully around your feet. Yep. Some of them can zip open. We went for the fully wrapped in, closed in one because there's a way that sort of air can get through a zip. And in my mind, you're only using it when it's cold, so that's why we went for the closed in. And we like to keep things simple, less things to break. But yeah, that's the whole benefit of a quilt. And then by removing that section out of the back, you can go a little bit wider. So you're more like your bed at home, a bit more comfortable. And it's also lighter because you've removed that whole section from your back. But in saying that, there's something snug and secure about a sleeping bag, right? Yeah, exactly. And, I know that I roll around a lot, so which you can do in a quilt, but, with a sleeping bag, you might want to roll and then that down will loft out, the bit that you've just lifted up.
Yeah.
But the thing about a quilt too is that you have to have a good sleeping mat because that will create that warmth under your body.
Yeah. One thing that Yannick had, and it's just sleeping mat cover.
Oh, the fitted sheet,
the pillow. That's important.
Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time with sleeping mats and 80% of the time you're next to it.
Yeah.
You slip off.
Yep.
It just pops out the side. Or
so
half you're not getting back on it.
The fitted sheet was
such a simple.
Yeah, it was a simple idea, but no, I know of one other brand that doesn't. They're really rare, and there's a few benefits to it. Like you said, it gives you that extra grip, so you don't slip off. It holds your pillow in place, which is great because you don't lose it during the night. And the other one, the big one, is a sleeping mat is a completely impenetrable plastic, or nylon, right? When you think about it, so you're going to sweat and stick to it. By having that sheet, and it just creates that softness of a bed at home.
So again, if you're in this, the Flynet one in summer, and you've got that on there, you don't really need a sleeping bag. You could just lay on it.
You could, yeah, you really could. Or you could use our, we've got a summer sleeping bag, packs down super, super tiny. And it's just that little bit of cover for the morning, you know, when that little bit of coolness comes through just before sunrise.
Yeah. Where do we see it going product-wise in the future? I mean, just filled up your eskies with the baskets and the dividers. And
Yeah.
you've got your crates over there, and then getting into the clothing.
Yeah, so look, there's a lot of sampling happening in the background. If I had to categorize like where it was going, it's probably like more of the same, I guess, with just like sort of minor movements into new categories. But yeah, like a lot of sleeping system stuff happening. And then probably the biggest area that we want to get more into is bags and packing and that sort of stuff. There's been a lot of requests from customers for that. So yeah, it's taken a bit of time, but we want to get it right. So it's, we have to sample quite a bit and get the materials right and the designs right and all that sort of stuff. But
It takes time.
Yeah, it does.
I saw the other day on your Alton VIP page
Yep.
on Facebook. Jack put the photo up, but your sleeping bag got used on alone.
Yeah, yeah.
Did you know that was?
No.
Just
Some smart ass put a comment on there saying, oh,
Placement.
it's a marketing company or something or other. But I only knew about that when I saw it get uploaded. I had no idea. Yeah, it's awesome. It's fantastic. Like, yeah, it's one of those moments where you're like, oh, wow, like people really believe in us. Like, that's so good. Like, we've been working hard to make these good products, and
especially that show. I mean, people go into that show now knowing what they're in for.
Yeah.
So they buy appropriate equipment.
Yeah.
And if yours falls in that category, that's exciting.
Yeah, no, it was honestly like so cool to see. And I know from personal experience, like that, I know a few people that have worked, that we both know who have worked on that show, and they don't want to show brands. You know, it's not about that. It's all about the people, and their experience. You know, in what they're doing. It's not about the products. So, pretty cool to have that little flash of the product on there. Yeah,
it needs to go on your socials.
Yeah.
We'll work on that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having us in the shop. It's impressive to see the stuff. I'm excited to see where it goes in the future. And I'm excited to see how it crosses over into my world.
Yeah.
And
We're definitely, like I've said to you off air, like we have not like targeted hunting as a customer, and not because we don't want to, but it's just.
That was my question to Sam. I was like, because you look at companies sometimes that aren't in the hunting space, but do products, and sometimes that's a business choice.
Yeah.
To provide products that suit that market, but we don't want to be seen in that market specifically. And
yeah, it's
I'm here, so Sam said, I like shooting stuff. No,
yeah.
You have your firearms license?
No, I don't.
We'll work on that.
Yeah, it's I've looked at it. It's time.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole
Well, I don't have a What are you going to have?
genuine reason.
A property to go to? Or
Yeah,
something
genuine
like
reason.
Yeah.
Property to use it on.
I've probably got a genuine reason, but I just need to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just we've been, we've grown a lot in the last 6-7 years, and we're sort of at capacity at the moment with what we do. So as time goes by, we'll expand into these different categories, or at least marketing to those categories and interacting with them a little bit, and their communities.
Already selling into it, but just
Exactly,
as
yeah.
a byproduct.
Yeah, we're well aware of that market, and like for us, we just try to do what we do best, which is making like high quality gear that lasts a long time and has like a nice aesthetic to it. And fortunately, like that aesthetic lends itself nicely to hunting. So we're aware of that customer. It's just a matter of finding the time to do activities with that customer. And another one is motorbike camping.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
We
little panniers on the thing. They got to fit everything in there.
It's such a like massive customer for us, but we just like have no one here does that, right? So we need to start looking into that market and those community events and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, some guys on the back of their bike with the hammock set up.
Yeah, they love it. They love it. It's interesting how there's different activities you don't even realise that like your product is perfect for that. Yeah.
And, cookware and things, everything lightweight.
Yeah, that's it. Lightweight, sturdy.
Matters.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
Right, thanks for having us here in the shop.
Awesome. No, thank you for coming up. Appreciate it.
No worries.
Thanks very much.
Look forward to talking again soon. Bye for now.